Hello, and welcome to the Libri Labra book club. Today we're going to be, actually before I even tell you that, so this month, actually I'm like, I don't even know what I want to say right now. So if you ever want to join us in our discussions, because we do have monthly discussions for different books, you can check out Libri Labra Book Club on patreon.com/Libri Labra. We have discussions monthly. There are a few different rewards and perks that you can check out, like a custom bookmark or, joining us in the actual discussion on screen as a book club VIP member, like Tom Brennan here. And again, there's other perks like prioritized commenting in YouTube videos and a few different things. So if you're interested, even if you're not ready to sign up, just feel free to follow us on Patreon, patreon.com/Libri Labra. Okay, so I am joined today by my husband, John, and book club VIP member, Tom Brennan. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
And we're going to be discussing July's book, which was The Immortalists by Chloe Benjamin. We will do just kind of initial thoughts in regards to the book and the story, and then we will jump into spoilers, and I will let you know when that starts to happen if you want to just check out the first few minutes and then take off before the spoilers hit. This was a book that I selected. I had heard about it and it was on my radar for quite some time. I also think the cover is really pretty. I love the colors, and it has these little gold dots on it, which is pretty cool. But it was on my radar. I think I had it on my wish list somewhere. But what really, really interested me was that Chloe Benjamin has another book called The Anatomy of Dreams, which is about lucid dreams. But recently, when selecting books, I was trying to pick books that took place in New York. And so I picked up Anatomy of Dreams and The Immortalists at the same time. And then I suggested three different books that took place in New York. And The Immortalists is what won. So it is about a family of siblings. There's 4, right? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
4. And
Simon, Daniel, Clara. Yeah.
Yeah. And really early on, they go to see a psychic.
The woman on Hester Street.
A woman on Hester Street. And she basically tells them the date of their death. And so the book is split up into 4 different parts, and you get to follow the lives of each of the siblings, and you follow them until their death, I guess.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much the premise of the book. Does anybody want to share initial thoughts first?
I mean, my initial thoughts going into it, I was just curious what the namesake, I guess the name of the book itself, where that I'm glad that they actually kind of wore that out and had more to it than its initial statement. But I enjoyed it a little bit. My initial thoughts going in is I liked it, but I didn't love it. So we're going like I enjoyed some of the story, some of the threads that hooked at different places, but I just don't think it was enough for me.
Okay. Tom?
It's an interesting premise. I'm not sure if I agree with how the author worked it through in the book. Unless maybe that was the point, which we'll get into in the in the actual discussion. But I don't know. It seemed to me that, as kind of a summary, while I liked the characters, I didn't really feel connected to them.
Was that it? No, I was just wondering if I could feel the same way. But I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. And it's the kind of thing where the way the book is structured, I think, kind of contributes to that lack of empathy in the sense that, well, that's for the discussion, but suffice to say, like John, it's like it's okay, but I don't think maybe I'm missing something. You know, so
I think I feel a little bit the same way. Like when we finished it, I was like, okay, well, I sort of enjoyed it while I was listening to it, but what do I feel now? And I think there was a part of me that felt like maybe I needed to reread it. Like I needed to read it one more time to catch the pieces that, you know, I may have missed while listening. I listened to the audiobook, but also read the text at some parts. So I'm sure there's like some pieces that I missed, but I know I read a lot of reviews and a lot of people complained about the same thing, that they didn't feel connected to the characters, and that some people DNF'd after the first story or the second story because they just didn't care anymore. And I didn't quite feel like that. I didn't feel like it was difficult to get through the book. I didn't feel like I was waiting for it to end. I was just kind of in the story, you know, absorbing the story as it was happening. But I do feel like that I wanted there to be more, I guess, more message, more purpose, more something a little bit deeper. And I don't reread books too often, but I think I might be willing to reread this one and kind of like really take my time and annotate it or something to see just what I pick up the second time around. So those are initial thoughts. We will now head into spoiler territory. There's also like, I think there's a reading guide at the back of this book too. I think there was a part where the title was mentioned, right? Where they kind of like tried to explain why the book was called The Immortalists.
It was the name of Clara's act.
yeah.
So, and then I think it was interesting that her daughter took on some of her act after the fact.
But didn't really want to. She wanted to
That was
be
Raji's
something.
doing.
Well, so the Immortalist explores the degree to which we shape our own destinies. Do you believe that the siblings' fate was preordained? Why or why not?
I think that's the entire question about this book. Is that knowing what date they were going to die actually depicted that made it happen for them. Like they lived in such a way with knowing what their date was that it actually pushed them toward that date. So I'm wondering if they didn't talk to the lady at all, if everything would have been completely different. I believe so.
I think in everything, like every psychic related movie or thing I've read, it has always been that, right? They see glimpses of the future, don't really know what they mean, and in an effort to avoid it, they actually make it happen.
Right.
I feel like that's just always been the thing. So it had to impact them. So let's use Simon specifically. I think Simon knew he was going to die young, and I think because of that, he decided to be really reckless, because he was like, well, what the hell, I'm going to die soon anyway, let me just do whatever the hell I want to do without any real regard for consequence. He just did whatever he wanted. And then I feel like Daniel was almost similarly the same way, where on the date that he was supposed to go, he decided to do something extremely impulsive, and that brought about his own demise. And the only one that was really different was Varya, because she felt like she had the time. I mean, she was being extra careful with the things that she was doing. I don't think she wanted to take much risk because she felt like she didn't want to mess it up. I feel like.
Okay, so if we're jumping to Varya's, I have a question about, did Varya... Wait, did the lady lived through Daniel's ordeal, right?
Wait, before like getting deeper into let Tom answer the question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was the question?
The question was, the Immortalist explores the degree to which we shape our own destinies. Do you believe that the siblings' fate was preordained? Why or why not?
I don't think it's really explored in the book, other than the fact that Simon says, I know I'm going to die young. I may as well go to San Francisco. That's about the only, no, in the sense that, his life was a choice of being in New York and basically being his mother's caretaker and taking over the business, as opposed to living the way he wanted to in San Francisco. And knowing that, his life is going to be short, he chose the second option. But unfortunately, like you said, that's what, did him in. So is it better that he went to San Francisco and led that short life? Who knows? I mean, that's only he can answer.
Are we looking at this speculatively, or are we looking at it from the writing perspective? Then no.
Well, the question is, what do you think? Do you believe?
So that it was preordained? Absolutely.
Preordained, like they were definitely going to die on those days.
Yeah.
She had predicted accurately that they were, okay.
It's because of the way it is.
But they didn't really do
the
anything.
way it is written.
I mean, apart from Clara, they really didn't do anything to. Although Daniel's case this is bullshit. It's like, what the hell is this? We're gonna make the plot fit my premise here. It's like he's gonna go batshit crazy on the day he's supposed to die, and then I don't know. It just seemed rather convenient.
I mean, it was definitely convenient. I think he was probably like, what the hell? I'm supposed to die on this day anyway.
Yeah, but he freaking found her. Like, who would think to look at she wasn't in the freaking town? Oh, I know. She must be in the waterfall. Like, well, of course she was, because we have to make the plot move forward. But Jesus Christ. That pissed me off, if you couldn't tell.
Was that too convenient for you?
Yeah.
Yes. Contrived is the word I would use. There.
And the policeman shows up at that point too?
He knows where she is too, but they explain that at least because they made it convenient that Daniel left the computer on, and his wife says, look at his search history, and that's where, of course, that's where he is. And how did the cop notify him at the freaking falls? Because she wouldn't know where he is at. It's not like he's just saying, "Oh yeah, what are the waterfalls?" Or, "Oh, let's look on Google Maps and say, oh yeah, that's where the trail is. Yeah, that's where she." I don't know. That was just really, really, really convenient for me. This is bullshit.
I'm with Daniel.
Yeah.
All this bullshit.
Yeah, no, it's like all of a sudden he's like, he doesn't even mention the date. He just goes, I hate that woman, and go and kill her.
She did this to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the novel takes place in different settings: 1960s New York, the San Francisco dance scene, glitzy Las Vegas hotels. In what ways do the locations affect the characters, and why do you think all four of the siblings moved away from New York City? I think they just wanted to get away from their mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Simon.
Essentially.
Simon. How the narrator actually did that every time, made it grating. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So, and when their dad died, they just...
He was the rock.
Right.
So when that happened, everybody else is like, well,
we're out.
Sorry, Mom. Except Varia.
Yeah, she was
but how do you think the different locations they went to impacted them?
Well, I mean, San Francisco is obviously, especially at that time,
right?
That was the place where you went when you were gay, apparently. Because even like in a big city like New York, it wasn't the same.
Right. But Clara was originally with Simon though, right before they
Yes.
went to Las Vegas. So how do you think like her going to Las Vegas?
Her ended up in Vegas just because that's where the magicians go whenever you make it big.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think she wasn't able to handle the fame? Do you think, like...
I don't know. Clara was a strange one. I felt like that was a little convenient too.
But I can see that, but in this case, I think she's actually peddling an art form which is like almost like vaudeville, and that vaudeville's a thing, but like close up hand like magic as a show kind of is too. So where else can that live? I don't see it happening in a big city today, other than Vegas.
Right.
And with Vegas, they have the spectaculars like Roy and I can't remember the other guy's name.
Siegfried.
The Tiger Act. Siegfried and Roy, yeah, the Tiger Act. And although I found again this is convenient that they were the ones who replaced Siegfried and Roy, I somehow got that. Because they for when they were in Vegas, they were Vegas for a while.
Right.
And I have to still see a magic show, especially there.
Well, now it's
So
now it's Penn and Teller, and then even those guys are looking on new talent now.
Yeah. But for that to be like the premium act, I don't see that happening. Sorry.
Yeah, it was for the story.
I know. And it's the kind of thing where and I appreciated the fact that Stat made Raj and Clara, well, Raj, because Clara opted out, rich, and in his unconventional job, whereas Daniel, in his conventional job wasn't, or not nearly as much. And, it showed that, Raj has more job security in his line of work than Daniel does in his, even though it's like supposedly an established job. So.
I appreciate your use of opted out.
Yes.
The Immortalists is narrated by the 4 siblings in separate sections. What was the reading experience like when you switched sections, and did you identify more closely with certain siblings?
I think that's why nobody actually felt like they related to the book, is because you actually stepped in between into like different characters each time. If they had actually like gone like through various perspective and watching each other child or sibling go through these things, you at least be able to experience everything from one place. Them changing from one perspective to the other, I think, is why you feel so detached from the story.
Yes.
Well, what was the perspective? The perspective it was written in, was it like third?
No, it was
third omniscient or something.
It's third person. Yeah, it's always third person. But like John said, the only time we see them together is for that one incident, and then that past that's like, okay, let's advance the clock X number of years, and here you are. It's like, well, I don't really care, because I really get to know you. At the beginning of the book.
I know for me, each chapter change was like, wait, what just happened? And like for the end of each one, I had to go back and reread the last couple of pages because the endings to me seemed very, very abrupt. Because like it would end and move to the next person. And then after the first time, I assumed, okay, that must mean they died. But sometimes it wasn't super clear the way it was abrupt, but also written. I felt like it was jarring somewhat.
It was,
I think Clara's did that, right?
What is it?
So I think Clara's did that, right? Where she was like, wait, did she just... Wait, what? What?
I would say hers the most, but even the ending of Daniel's, I was like, wait, what happened? Yeah, I had to go back and reread it.
Yeah, but the technique there was they would have that scene, and then afterwards, the living siblings would talk about how the character had passed away, in the past.
This really seems like it was something that was written for TV or movie.
I was gonna say,
and not meant to be a book, but made it the other way around. That's what it looks like to me. That's what it seems like to me. Like this could have been a really good screenplay, but
I mean, I don't think that's abnormal for writers to do that.
Right.
To like,
it could not be the case at all, but it could be just written this way and now can be.
Because I think
translated
I've
pretty
heard
well.
people say that it's a lot easier to get like a best-selling novel turned into a movie than pitching the screenplay outright.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? But if it was a movie, would you expect the format to be completely different? Like, would you expect it to have their stories? I mean, obviously, the passage of time is a thing, but
there's a difference between what I would expect and what I would want to happen.
well,
So-
what would you expect and what would you want to happen?
Well, I would hope that they would give us more time with the kids together, so we can learn about the characters before she shoots them off to their various lives. You know, more backstory.
Right.
I guess is what I would expect and hope. You know, and somehow changing Daniel's ending. No, because the others are organic. I mean, even Clara's. You know, it's like, you know, I really like how she, you know, so I'm hearing, you know, and they're timed, you know, the bangs are timed and, you know, he's communicating to me. And it's like, okay, I can believe that, you know?
Well, I think that, you know, I understand what you're saying about Daniel's being contrived and the other ones being more organic, but I think Daniel's story is what helps solidify that the psychic had been telling the truth, that her predictions were accurate because of the way the stars had to align for Daniel's storyline to happen. Like the synchronicity that had to happen is
God,
what.
Damn it, Daniel.
Damn it, Daniel. No. Yeah,
'Cause,
one
like,
job.
I mean, I've seen things happen where, you know, stuff aligns and you're like, why? As a matter of fact, and not that this has any specific meaning that we've been able to decipher at this point, but John decided to randomly watch a movie with my roommate the other night. And what was it called?
Vivarium.
He watched Vivarium, and this was before we had started Varia's chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And literally that night after watching the movie, that's not a word that we've heard often or ever.
Yeah, so we're listening to the book, and this, we're going to go to the Vivarium. I was like, excuse me?
Literally that night. So it was just strange that a word that we had not ever heard, and he
How is
randomly
Varia's
watched
name
the movie.
spelled? Because her name is in there if it's spelled the right way.
Hold on.
Vivarium. No, there's a letter off.
That's Varia.
Okay, all right. It's spelled differently. Good.
But like, I'm trying to. Okay, so this is her. Varia enters the Vivarium.
Mm-hmm.
It was just very strange. It was a very strange coincidence. And so I feel like in life, I have observed many strange coincidences. So Daniel's story, while I can see that it's kind of convenient and stuff, I feel like to me, that's how the universe works sometimes. It's that ridiculous. So
that's true.
That's kind of how I feel about Daniel's story.
It's still goddamn ridiculous.
What was the question that we were even talking about?
What would you expect or want in a film adaptation or TV
in a
adaptation?
movie? Either for it to be changed for what I mentioned earlier, as we follow one person's perspective, even if they have to add like a neighbor kid who goes with them, but that actually has to watch each one of them go through their life, you know, and watch them die on their specific dates. I don't know. Or when did Mom die with Tavaria? Did we experience Gertie's death? I don't remember that.
I don't remember.
Because if not, we can at least go experience
Gertie
things
could
through
have been
Gertie and see, and watch her go through her issues too. The fact that she's like, oh, it's my fault Simon died. I pushed him away. Or, oh, it's, my kids.
Yeah, but I feel like following Gertie would have
That just make
provided
it sad.
more detachment to the kids because they all wanted to get away from her. So I feel like
Right.
it would have been a different story. But I think the way the book was set up is that each part is for one kid specifically, and in a movie I would have liked to see a lot more overlap.
Yes.
Just, even if the focus at certain points in the movie is that one character, still kind of seeing trickles of what the other kids are doing during that same time, I guess.
It's an easy way to explain Varia taking over for Simon after everybody left, or the things she thinks of and how she ends up like trying to further health and longevity than why she went to how she ended up in those areas versus Daniel. And what did he do? What was Daniel's job?
He did something with the military, I thought.
Oh, that's right. He was
intake, where he would tell them if the people were fit to go to battle or not.
Oh, okay. He was the medical examiner then.
Medical examiner, yeah.
Okay. Why?
Why?
Yeah, what shot him that direction? Why did he go that way?
Oh, I don't know. I feel
so
like
I'm saying, like, with all the characters, there's like certain things. It's like, why do they do these things? We don't know.
I thought Varia had the most interesting outcome.
I think we were meant to relate to Varia's story more than everybody else because she was the one that lived the longest, and you can actually deal with her coping with her siblings' deaths. But I could be wrong.
But I felt like her part also felt like a lot. It felt like just a lot that she was doing and a lot that was happening, like with the kids she gave up for adoption and the monkeys and the science and the...
Yeah. There's a lot there.
It was just... And then she was still kind of dealing with Gertie on top of that. I don't know. It felt like a lot. But I don't know if I fully understood, because at some point her and her son connect about how they feel about the world or how they hold back or their anxieties or something. And I don't think I understood what they were explaining or relating to. Because, the fact that they both had it and did it made it sound like it was somewhat hereditary. Mm-hmm. So do you remember how that was explained?
No, I don't. Unfortunately.
I don't either.
I'd have to reread it. There are some parts which were opaque, and I fear that may have been one of them. So, but with Varia, I mean, I think it's instructive to compare her life to, say, Simon's, who lived fast and died young, and she's on the other end, just essentially surviving, not really living.
Right.
I mean, even denying herself the pleasures of food, for example. So, and in a sense, did she believe the fortune teller? Well, 3-0 is a pretty good record, but
yeah, right.
Yeah, but if that were me, I'd say, "Hey, I can eat anything I want because I know I'm going to live until."
Well, I think that's what the Immortalists was really about, because Clara pushed her limits on what she can do with her magic tricks, and she did it so much that people were starting to be like, what are you doing? How are you doing this? Because apparently you're not dying when you should be. She, there were things that she was doing that were death-defying, and that's how she got so good at what she was doing. But she apparently she knew and she believed that her death date was different, so she did all those crazy tricks, knowing that she wasn't going to die.
Knowing that she wasn't going to die on that day.
Right.
I'm wondering if that's supposed to be speaking to the idea that she defied it so much that she was like, all right, well then now I might as well just do it myself.
don't know. Like I remember reading that page multiple times.
She
and
went
being
crazy.
Like, I don't understand. Maybe you're just not meant to understand. But I don't know. I didn't even realize it was leading up to that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. The power of belief.
Yes.
Whether it be magic, religious faith, or storytelling, is an important theme in the novel. How does belief affect each of the siblings, and what is different or similar about the stories they tell themselves? I don't know, you were just talking about Clara and what she believed. Now, Daniel was the one that actually took them, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was the one that wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, didn't he feel responsible
Did
for all of their deaths? And
would it have helped if he didn't take them? Would anybody have known what would have happened?
no. I know there's a question in here in regards to like, would you want to know?
That would be the last. That should be the last question.
Okay,
we end this
we'll
on.
save that. We'll save that for the last question. So, Tom, how do you think the belief of what affected each sibling, and what is different or similar about the stories they tell themselves?
Belief in the date, or belief in? I know it doesn't say it.
Whatever it is, yeah.
Talking out loud.
Whatever it is they each believed in, I guess.
Well, with Simon, like I said, it was probably a factor in getting him out to San Francisco. I mean, not as being his mother's caretaker was, a factor enough. This, I think, what to seal the deal, that he left with Clara. With Clara, again, hers was more organic in the sense that, she developed this. She figured out that, it's the time that it takes between, the question and the response that, she knows what it is, like, that the mind reading trick. And so then she puts that into, I'm hearing these knocks and they're telling me something, and I thought that was really, really well done. So would she have gone that route anyway? Yes. It's just, she knew what day it was going to happen because she was told that, yes, this day you're going to do this. So Daniel, we already mentioned. And with Varya, it seems that it's unclear as to whether she's doing this to make sure that the prophecy comes true in the sense that she lives a long life, or again, if she didn't believe it was true, then why isn't she eating everything in sight? Because she knows she's going to live through a ripe old age.
Right.
Now, with that said, the author does, say magic, which lies in the misdirection of belief. Now, as we believe that the card is in this pile, but it's actually in this pile, but we're misdirected. And she also mentions placebos in Varya's chapter, and she explains that patients who are getting placebo often get the benefits because they believe that they are getting the real pill.
Right.
So it's all about misdirection.
Huh. Maybe that's why Varya went into the longevity research, just because that she believed that she was going to live a long life. Maybe I will be led to. Maybe I'll find something with this research.
Yep.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. So all of it is really a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I mean, I thought. Go ahead. What were you going to say, Tom?
No, I was going to say it. I mean, I'm not. That's the hard part to determine. I mean, would they have done the exact same things without the prophecy? I mean, we don't know that. I'm tempted to say yes, but because Clara, all of them are basically who they are, without the prophecy. So it's their character choices. I think even Gertie says, you make choices, and then that leads to another set of choices, and another set of choices, until before you know it, you've got all this history behind you, and you're kind of locked into your path. So, because it's made clear that she didn't, given her druthers, she would. I forget what she would have done if she hadn't become a wife, and I forget what path she had set out for herself before she had met Saul, but that didn't happen. So, who knows what this is? I just think it's interesting that the two established careers, that Daniel and Varya embark on, are societally acceptable. In other words, you're not like a dancer and you're not like a magician, but they are morally questionable in their own right.
Right.
Because the Raj calls Daniel on the morality of sending people who are not fit for combat into combat, and then with Varya, it's the testing on the monkeys. Is that moral?
Well, with Daniel though, wasn't he suspended because he did not? He refused. Yeah.
Yes, he refused.
I mean, which is interesting if you compare like his moral and ethics in that situation, but then he decided to get a gun and go find the psychic.
Right.
So, so I mean, I guess it's interesting how we humans are impacted and affected by certain things, and even though we try to follow laws or rules, there's a breaking point for everyone. But the question is, like, where will you break and for what reason?
On a related note, I mean that's the thing I wanted to see how this played out, in the sense that the author talks about magic, for example. Maybe the knowing the date for death is the misdirection, and you get so caught up on that you miss what's in front of you, or the actual things of the situation. And going back to Clara for a second, I know John and I had a very brief discussion about Darkest Dungeon.
Okay.
And I was thinking, have you played the game?
No, not yet.
Well, if you do, having a character like Clara is what Darkest Dungeon is like. In the sense that, no, she's good at what she does, but she has these things with, not infirmities, but character traits that, you don't really want in a party, but you have to take them along with the
Right. Okay. Like the curse that afflicts a decent party member, like some problem that comes with them. I see.
Yes. Like with her, it was alcoholism, and then her growing mentally.
I forgot about her alcoholism, because she did start drinking again.
Psychic trauma. All four of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean.
Yeah, but Simon didn't seem traumatized, though. I mean, he was just doing what he was doing.
I mean, yeah, but he hurt somebody that he cared about.
Yeah.
And luckily he survived and he lived on past Simon, but there's got to be pain involved in realizing how selfish you've been and that you've hurt someone else in the process.
He didn't feel that way with his mom. I mean, he did a little bit with his mom, because he left his mom alone. And he was the one that she was always closest to, I guess, because he was the youngest.
He was the youngest.
Yeah. So he's always taking care of Simon taking care of her.
Yeah, but he's doing what kids do. I mean, that's what they're supposed to do, is get a life for themselves.
Yeah, like I would think leaving his mom behind definitely felt different than giving his partner HIV.
Yeah. No, I'm saying, I was talking about whatever psychic trauma they had to deal with going into it. Like there was even when Saul died, they all that started. Like apparently the Golds they're all crazy at some point.
Did they say why Daniel had this wild idea to go visit the woman on Hester Street? Was it just that he heard from someone else that she could do that?
Yeah, talking about when they were little.
Yeah.
Like as kids, why they went there?
Yeah.
Just talk around the neighborhood. Some
Yeah, well,
lady
that Eddie, what the hell is his last name? I can't remember.
fucking Eddie O'Donoghue.
Adam O'Donoghue. Yes, thank you.
God, Eddie O'Donoghue. I got tired of hearing his name too.
Yeah, he he told Daniel all about the Costello family, of which Bruna is the part, who's the fortune teller, and I think that's what started the ball rolling for him.
But I mean, really early on, like when they went to go see her and got their dates.
Mm-hmm.
Like why that happened?
Why that happened? Yeah, why he led them there? Why
he just
led
thought it
his
was a cool
siblings
thing
there.
to learn. I mean, it's what kids do whenever they're like, "Hey, this lady can tell us when we're gonna die.
Wow.
Do you want to go? Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Okay.
Come on,
Mm-hmm.
let's go."
Okay. So this says discuss the siblings' significant others. We have Raj, Mira, and Robert. How are their lives affected by the prophecy, and how do romantic and familiar relationships interact and contrast in the Immortalists?
What was the last part? I'm sorry.
How do romantic and familial relationships interact and contrast in the Immortalists?
I think that spread out when he has Raj and Clara's daughter. I forget her name now.
Ruby.
Ruby.
For Thanksgiving. Ruby, yeah, for Thanksgiving dinner. And then
Why is it Thanksgiving dinner? Oh, we got to ruin things for families.
Because those are the moments that we force
others to be involved.
I mean, some people, I think family should be family, and I think we should support our family members. But at the same time, I don't think being family should give people a pass on being an ass. And a lot of times families believe that it should, that being family trumps everything, and that you just have to accept the terrible people in your family. And,
oh God.
And I don't know. I don't know. It's weird because that has been ingrained in me as well. I know I used to say a lot of things about my mom growing up, and my godfather would always be like, but she's your mother. She will always be your mother. Like, regardless of what bad thing she did or how she hurt me, it's like, but she's your mother. Like, so I know that that's like, so I feel like I'm sort of somewhere in the middle. Like, yes, family, and yes, we should forgive family, and we should give them more chances, but also not unconditionally. But I think wasn't Gertie being, I don't know if it was Gertie and Daniel, but they seemed like they were being kind of prejudiced towards Raj.
I didn't pick that up.
Weren't they? That. They got into a little bit of a tiff over.
Yeah, no, it was more than a tiff. It was more than a tiff.
Because I think Raj was wasn't he making some political statements or something?
Yes, he was. Some really big ones too.
Yeah.
Basically,
they were like.
Good.
I didn't. I'm not familiar with what the topic of what they were talking about, so I don't know the impact, the actual impact between them. I just know
got all upset about it.
I know there was tension for what he was saying.
Well, basically, what Raj was saying is, you guys, you see yourself as victims, but you're not anymore. You're Americans. That you don't, because, I don't think the Holocaust was mentioned, but it was something along those lines where, Jewish people do have a history of being, persecuted, but the goals were not being persecuted, and that's what Raj's point was. And it was just interesting to see how people see themselves as something, but others don't see it that way. And I was like, that was pretty explosive. I was like, holy crap! How do you come back from that? It's like this is probably an awful word for it, because this is another religious thing, but he pretty much killed their sacred cow. Is what he did. And it's like I said, I can see Ruby coming back to see the town, but Raj, I'm sure, is out of the picture after that.
And Ruby did come back, didn't she?
Yeah.
Like I feel like, yeah. Ruby came back to stay with Gertie and Varya.
Yeah, spending time with Gertie. So I thought that was the boldest and best scene in the book was the Thanksgiving dinner.
Let me see. Okay, we're at like 45, so I think we can answer the final question, do final thoughts.
Yes.
And introduce the last book. Okay, so big question. Would you want to find out the date of your death? And how would you live your life differently if you had this information?
I think everybody would live their life differently, but how is up to them, speculative.
Well, I mean, you got to answer the first question.
For me, I would not want to know.
Okay, you would not want to know, but let's say it was forced upon you for some reason.
But think about this, because there are pros and cons to both sides of the story. Because it's like, it's if you want to know, you actually get the date, then you can actually make plans to do the things that you wanted to do before you died.
Right.
That way you know you got them taken care of beforehand. Or why don't we just live that way to begin with?
Yes. Which is kind of how I feel, sort of. Which is why I don't not that I don't ever procrastinate, because I definitely do. But I think in my head, it's like anything can happen in any moment. Like, what is the probability? I don't know. But my anxiety,
stroke. That's all it takes.
My anxiety dictates that
it'll.
Or bus.
Yeah, no, serious.
Wait, what did he say?
It could be totally random.
Heart attack or a stroke. I'm saying, like, in my home, that could happen at any point in time. But
bus,
I'm not so sure.
That's my point. Just because it's improbable doesn't mean it's impossible.
Right.
The hurricane causes a tornado, throws a bus into our home.
Yeah.
Right. There you go.
See, well, you said it. Oh, no.
My aunt has a saying which has stuck with me my whole life, and which is just like, what doesn't happen in a million years can happen in 1 minute. And
yes.
or like 1 second. And I know, like, I've read how teenagers are better at assessing risk, which is why they practice risky behavior. So it's not necessarily that they're super impulsive, that they're actually better at assessing risk than older generations. And so, I've argued with my son, and I told him that. I told him that saying, and he was like, why would you say that to me? He was like, why would you give me that kind of anxiety? And I was like, it's true, though. It's true. And so,
You say as I get older, it's more likely that I'm going to do something stupid?
No, I'm saying that as you get older, you assess risk differently. So because of your experiences and because of things that have happened to you, you might feel like something's more likely to happen. But the risk percentage doesn't necessarily change. Your perception of it changes.
That's ridiculous.
So because you're young and you haven't had any of those things happening to you, you can better assess the percentage of risk that you're taking.
That doesn't make sense to me at all. I guess, but it just, I feel like it's just old enough to know better.
Sushi looks good. Yeah, I'm gonna have that. Yeah.
So, but there's just a lot of times where, just like very basic things. Like yesterday, I had my son go out and double check that our car doors were locked. And he was like, what is wrong with you? Like, why did you randomly want to do that? And it was because we have had people go in our car and take out change and shuffle things around in our car.
And take things that are somewhat of value.
And we just boarded up all our windows because of the hurricane that's coming. So that was what was on my mind. And to me, it was like, hey, better off just taking a moment to check than not doing it and then finding out later that something happened. So for the most part, that's how I try to live my life. Like, not
preemptively.
What?
Preemptively?
Yeah. I wouldn't want to know because my anxiety is too high. I would be stressing like it would debilitate me.
Are you
I feel
sure?
like.
Because I wouldn't alleviate stress, so
No,
you wouldn't be thinking about whether or not you
because
die.
I don't think about, like, I've had cancer and I don't think about when I'm gonna die right now. Like I don't think about that. So knowing a date would completely debilitate me because I would be stressing out up until that point. So no,
That's
I would
true.
absolutely not want to know.
That would be where you would stop stressing.
Anyway, I wouldn't want to know.
But the thing is, though, when you know that it's not even knowing the date of your death, and it's knowing that this is a possibility to be known, that immediately changes the game, because now you're making decisions within that context.
Yeah.
You know, is it Heisenberg's principle where the testing changes the thing tested, and that's exactly what's going on there.
Such complex beings, yet we're so simple and stupid at times.
I just I would end up questioning every single decision. Like, is this the thing that puts me on the path? Like, I wouldn't be able to move through the world like a normal person anymore. It would just, I already overthink things, so it would just be, I wouldn't function.
It's also ridiculous.
Although I'm also like super curious, so who knows? I might be like, I don't know who I'm asking.
You can't even hold a secret for somebody for a gift that they're going to get within a couple hours.
That's not true.
Oh, we're getting real talk now.
It wouldn't be surprised me if I created parameters though. Like if I was like, if I've got 10 to 20 years, don't tell me. But if it's within the next 5 years, maybe let me know. So.
Oh, what time is it now?
Yeah. Do I have time to worry about it?
How much stuff do I have to accomplish in that time? What are your thoughts, Tom? Did you say whether or not you would want to know?
I would say I would prefer not to know.
Yeah.
No, I think that's what most people would, but there are some that, are industrious enough to say, I'm going to make changes, and they will. That's I'm guessing it's a really small part of the population. So.
I'm also a control freak, so the definitiveness of that is not cool. Like, I would go mad telling myself, but there's got to be something I can do to change it. Like, for someone to tell me you're going to die on this day and there's not a single thing I can do to change it. Like,
I 100% believe that if someone was told that they knew exactly what day they were going to die, if someone was told their death date, they would also go insane. That is not something a person should know. Even if you are the person that is going to kill yourself at a specific time, you would drive yourself insane up until that point. I believe that.
But then to that point, going back to the book, why Clara could have done what she did a lot sooner than she did.
I mean, that would be making the choice. Just like, well, I want to change the date, but I think what was going on in her head actually had a lot to do with what her decisions up until that point. Like each one of them slowly went insane for a different reason.
Mm-hmm.
But it was all caused by the same thing. Them being told what day they were going to die.
More knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, they weren't close as adults, but we only got that one scene of them as kids. So I think that's what leads to that lightness of not being connected to each other. And it's like, well, okay.
So this might be a tough question to answer. But what are our final thoughts and ratings on the book? I don't think you told me yours. I don't think you were like, I'll talk about it.
No, I did.
Oh,
I told
you?
I gave it a 3 stars.
Okay. And
I almost messed it up at the beginning because I liked it, but I didn't love it. And I don't want some more of it.
There you have it.
I mean, it might be one of those, if I forget about it in the future and come across our library of insane amount of Audible books, I might re-listen to it in the future, but who knows? As of right now, 3 stars.
So if you
Meh.
found out like 3 weeks from now, I don't know why 3 weeks from now, but if you found out 3 weeks from now there was going to be a movie, would I have to make you watch it, or would you actually want to watch it?
I'd watch it.
Okay.
I mean, I'd almost watch any movie at this point. It's research for me. So,
I didn't rate it yet because I kind of feel like I do want to reread it, but
placeholder.
Okay,
Placeholder star.
My placeholder rating, I guess, would also be 3 stars. Like if I was just going to be done with it and not think about it again, then I guess I would give it 3 stars and move on with my life. But I don't know. Maybe I'll read it and then reread it and then change my rating later.
That's how that's supposed to work. As of right now, you give it 3 stars. After you reread it, if you feel like it deserves something better, then you change it.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. So that's
Makes sense.
how I feel about that.
Yes.
What about you, Tim?
I'm in 3-star boat as well. There are things I liked about the book, which, like I said, the Thanksgiving scene was good. Clara's and Simon's chapters were very good. Varya's was okay. And we have already gone on at length about Daniel's. So, but the thing I wonder about is, like I said before, is she using the date of the death as like a misdirection and saying, "Oh, is there something bigger going on than what is apparently I've gotten already from the book?" What am I missing? And I'm not coming up with an answer yet, but I don't know. It just seems a little too disconnected for my taste. So
I would like to add the fact that it's a great idea, great story.
Can you
not really I think it could have been a better execution, and I really think it's meant for a different medium.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're right next to the mic. Please stop banging. Well, I guess that's that on the Immortalists.
Where's the other one?
For August, we are reading The 3-Body Problem, which is a sci-fi, right, Tom?
Yes.
How do you pronounce the author's name? Do you know?
I actually looked this up.
I'm gonna make a guess at Cixin Liu.
That's what I thought, but I've heard like pronunciations like Cixin Liu. It's like I could come up with that. That's probably wrong. So I think Cixin Liu is probably correct.
Okay.
Or closer to being correct anyway.
The 3-Body Problem. I think it is the first book, and it's in the first book in a trilogy.
Yes.
So, can you tell us a little bit about what it's about?
I cannot, because
Well, you know what? President Barack Obama said it was wildly imaginative.
I just thought it was interesting to read something from a Chinese science fiction author, and I know this has been getting good buzz. So,
NPR says stunning, elegant, a science fiction epic of most profound kind.
I like that description a little bit better than Barack Obama's. What was it?
Wildly imaginative.
Yes, I believe it's wildly imaginative.
Well, he probably said more than that. They just probably excerpted that out of his thing. It was a wildly imaginative piece of crap. And
I just don't expect Obama to be that. I mean, he's a fun guy, but how much fun is he? Like, I feel like a Harvard lawyer just gave a review of a book.
Mm-hmm.
He reads a lot.
Actually, what school did he go to?
He reads a lot. Not important.
Okay.
George R.R. Martin said, a breakthrough book, a unique blend of scientific and philosophical speculation, politics and history, conspiracy theory, and cosmology.
I'm okay with half of those. Now, other words, I'm kind of a little worried now.
Look them up. No, I'm kidding.
And then the Wall Street Journal said, the War of the Worlds for the 21st century, packed with a sense of wonder.
Okay. I like that one better.
No, but when I chose the books from the poll for August, I wanted not commonly heard voices, and granted,
I'm really curious.
Cersei is really, really popular, so that's not quite doesn't fit. But the other one, the Nydia Okorafor's book, I can't remember the title right now, was another one.
So that is what we will be reading for August. I'm looking forward to it. And the audiobook is on Scribd, so you'll have that available. I guess you can decide if we want to listen to it together or independently.
We'll see. No, I'll probably consume it until you're ready to start listening. You're always listening to other books before you get to the other one. So
okay. Well, for anyone that popped in and popped out, thank you. I hope if you read The Immortalists, somebody will come and watch this.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for making it to the end, and hopefully you'll join us next month.
Good job, autoplay. Right.
Hope you'll join us next month for the 3-body problem. All right, everybody. Bye.
Bye, guys.
See ya.